Hello everybody. You probably saw my video on the Untitled Quiet Core, and you may have watched it, and at the end of the video you probably said to yourself, oh my god, that looks horrible. Yes, I know everybody has their own path that they want to walk, and that's great. If you want to take a epoxy cap and make it look better, you can use something like this. It is a simple chisel, and you can go back to those old woodshop days when you were in high school, and you can very carefully work the material out until it's perfectly flat. And it looks pretty good. And then you can come back with a piece of sandpaper like this. This is a 120 grit. And you can very carefully smooth all that out until it looks really nice. And then you can come back with some engine enamel and paint it whatever color you like. Now me, I'm kind of shooting for a red theme, red, orange, whatever, a little highlights here and there. So I'm going with some red engine enamel. I know, somebody likes blue, somebody likes black. Hey, whatever you like, whatever you want to do. You could even change the texture of this. You could put a sticker in here. It really doesn't matter so much. Do what you want to do with it. But hey, if it works, it works. If you thought I was going to do a movie montage with that terrible thumpy music, well, you're wrong. I've just moved along to the next step in the finishing process. I have applied some blue tape here to the end of the tailpipe. It's real simple, comes from Home Depot, it's easy to acquire, it's about $6 a roll or something like that, which, to me that's expensive, but hey, it sticks really well and it's great for painting. I have sanded, I'm not going to primer, and what I'm going to do is just apply the engine enamel directly to the epoxy, and I'm going to paint it some red here in a few minutes. So let me just finish covering the bike, taking it out into the driveway, and then we're going to spray paint it. I promised you I was not going to do a movie montage, and yep, I'm not going to do a movie montage, not this time. We're going to put some denatured alcohol on the end cap here. We're going to swirl it around, and then we're going to start painting. Take a little denatured alcohol, a little shop rag, or just something clean, and work your way into the nooks and crannies, up high and down low. Just want to swirl it around up in there, and then go around once on the inside, because that's where the paint's going to go, and you just want it to look good, right? Here we are again. We have finished masking off everything. You probably ask, oh, why so much covering? Why? Well, because Thunder, he can paint stuff. And you don't want red paint on your tires, you don't want red paint on your engine. Around here in Texas, the wind blows one way 1 second, and it blows 40 miles an hour in the other direction the next second. So, when you're working with paint, sorry about the shaking. You want to make sure that the wind doesn't shift on you and mess up your work. So here we go, a little red paint here, and try not to get on the lens here. And then we're gonna just give it a quick touch up like that. Take the can, bring it into the inside, and spray towards the outside. Yeah, now that I've got it colored and everything, you can see it's not really 100% flat, but you know what? Neither will be the one you buy on Amazon. Also, take it upside down, spray straight up. Alright, let's review this video and move on. Alright, you just spray painted it, and it almost immediately started to run. What are you going to do? Well, come back with a paintbrush. You should always have one handy. And just smooth it out. Now, there's a point where the paint locks up and it starts to clump up. Stop brushing. You're going to have to come back, give it a quick sand, and then give it another layer. It's that simple. So don't rush your paint. Sometimes it requires a little extra work. In this case, the paint was thin coming out of the can. All I did was hit it for a few seconds, and almost immediately I got a run. So, hey, that's just how spray paint is. It's terrible sometimes. We're just going to give it a little time, and then we're going to sand it, and then we're going to paint it again. what I've decided to do is I've decided to just give it a couple more coats and build it up layer after layer. If I do come back with sandpaper and I got some gobs in there, when I sand it down, those gobs will disappear. So yeah, if it runs, hit it with a brush. You can apply a few more coats, sand it, clean it up, remove the paint from the the various parts of the bike. Sorry. You can remove the blue tape, remove your masking, all that kind of stuff, and just finish the job. If you're working in windy areas, remove your cloth masking early. You don't want that blowing around back into your work and getting stuck to the paint. So I'm going to pull the tarp away first and just let this sit in the sun and dry for a while. Hi everybody. We're back here with the BOOB cam. Yes, B-O-O-B, BOOB cam. I just wanted to show you real quick what you can do with a chisel to clean up some of the bleed through on the paint. When you're working with paint, it's always going to get past the blue tape. That's just going to be a fact of life. But you can use the differences in materials and angles to create a clean edge when working with something like this. So if you look here, you'll see that there's some bleed through right there on the paint. Now this is a piece of steel and this is aluminum. So you have to be really careful not to push firmly because you'll create a scratch. But you can drag the edge of the chisel across the material to lift up small amounts of paint. And then try and pull that away from your work because you don't want the wind to blow the little specks back into your paint. You just very carefully with light pressure just work your way in there. Keep turning the chisel until it finds the paint. And spend 10 or 20 minutes to do it. You can see that that's working pretty good. So you can see how that's cleaning up the paint around the edges. Take your time, work carefully, and make sure you put a couple coats of paint on. And this is going to look really great. You're really going to appreciate it. You're going to get the color you want. You're going to get the sound you want. And you're going to get something special, something that's totally you. That's the great part about what I do, is a lot of the stuff I design and build is totally me. The example is the BOOB cam here that I am currently using. The BOOB cam has no up or down, left or right. The armature is reversible. It can go all the way around upside down, and you can bring it all the way right back up again. And you can wear it inside of a jacket and then zip up the jacket right below the camera. So yeah, isn't that cool? It has a universal armature on it, and you can wear it inside of a jacket and the camera will stick out outside of the jacket, which is I thought about that and I went, damn it, that's a cool idea. So yeah, I can ride around with a BOOB cam with a jacket on, and I can film my riding with the camera 12 inches outside of my body, which is, that's something else. Alrighty, so enough of the BOOB cam. I promised you I would not do a movie montage on the work I'm doing today, but I just wanted to show everybody what the Quiet Core looks like after about 2 coats of paint. It actually looks still pretty bad. It needs a little bit of work, so we're going to work on that today. Alright, without getting too close, as I put some light onto the paint job, you can see there's an area here where the paint didn't really sink in, a little crease. There's some gunk on it, and there's some differences in the paint where I had pulled the brush across it. So there it's a little bit more orange than it is there. The paint wasn't really mixed very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with a little Windex on just a paper towel, and then I'm going to sand it, and then we're going to touch it up, and then we're going to try and cure it with a heat gun, or at least that's the plan. So we're going to try and finish this today so it looks great, as great as I think it should be. And it might take me about an hour, so the plan is to do this in about an hour. and really make it look great. So in about the time it takes you to order it on Amazon, get the delivery, open up the box, get the item, and install it, we'll have this looking awesome. So I wanted to show you, this is 400 grit sandpaper. What we're going to try and do is work from two angles here to get a good shot, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. This piece of sandpaper isn't very pristine. It is an older piece of sandpaper. When working in smaller projects, the first mistake people make is they use a gigantic piece of sandpaper and they don't shrink it down to the proper size to work with it. There's that drip there from yesterday, and then there's that little run area from over there. So I'm going to hit this for a little while, and we're going to see if we can movie montage it later. What I'm going to do, because this is just kind of rough and needs some cleaning up, I'm going to get a tool underneath of the paper and then work with the tool to smooth this out. After digging through the garage, I came up with this painter's can opener. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap the painter's can opener in the sandpaper. So this gives you something a little bit more solid to work with when you're working inside of something like this. So now you can see, some of the problems that are in here, like right in there. It's a little lumpy. Almost want to get the chisel in there and clean that up. What I've decided to do is try and work the chisel in and see if we can scrape off some of the unevenness. That's looking much better. You can see as I chisel away, see that hump is exposing itself, so that's pretty obviously a rough area. As I run the chisel down that side, it kind of exposes some of the weirdness on that side of it. Clean up some of this edge here, which is really chewed up. You can see it's got notches in it and things. It really wasn't cleanly cut from the manufacturing process. Fold the sandpaper over again and get in there. So what do you do if you accidentally push the sandpaper into the tailpipe and drop it in there? What do you do? Start the bike. Run the bike. Sandpaper will pop out eventually. If it doesn't pop out on idle, when you get it up to highway speeds, it'll fly out of there. But I don't like littering and I don't like polluting the environment, so try and get it out of there and find it if you can. Take it out in the driveway, rev up the bike, send it sailing, pick it up, throw it away. That is really looking and feeling better. See, what I can do is I can get the chisel in the bottom there. The bottom is kind of dented up a little bit, but see how there's even teeth in here, the teeth marks. There's all kinds of imperfections in here. And the paint's stuck in there too. I'm going to give this a quick look from underneath, and then we're going to give it a whirl and paint it. I wanted to take a moment to show you what it was going to look like before we put the blue tape on it. We used the chisel to smooth the surface, and we used sandpaper to clean it up. We tried 400, but it wasn't enough. We moved to 220 grit, and that seemed to remove most of the divots. So now we're going to apply the blue tape and paint. We're going to give this a quick test spray here. Let's see how this works out. Looks like the can's working just fine. It's a good thing I cleaned the tip the other day. After you use a can of paint, make sure you clear the tip of the little blob that's in there. That way your can will work again the next day. So let's give this a quick hit with a red and hit it with the heat gun. So we're going to stop there, and then we're going to harden the paint. Turn on the heat gun. So one of the mistakes I made last time was I waited until there was a good coating of paint on it to actually hit it with a heat gun, and then it started to run. So now we have half a coat on, and now I'm just going to bake it a little bit. Let's see, how warm is that? That's actually pretty nice and warm. So that's not even a full coat, that's like half a coat. That's barely even coloring it, and I'm hitting it with a heat gun this time to dry it out. So I'm looking at it now, and that's actually looking really nice. So I'm just going to put my finger in there. Yeah, so 10 seconds, and that's pretty cooked. So that's working out really nice. I like that. This time I'm going to hit it from the lower left. So I'm just going to test it. Let's hit that with the heat gun and see how that works out. We're not going to give it time to run. Okay, I don't know if you could even hear that. So now we're going to hit it again. Here's the light. This time we're going to hit it dead on. Come back with heat gun. Again, we're not going to give it any time to run. You see I'm bouncing the heat gun there. We're just looking for the sheen to go away. I'm going to get the heat gun in shot so you can see that I'm using the heat gun. Yeah, I can start to see the bends in it, you know, the little waviness in it. But you know what? This is really going to look terrific. Nobody's going to zoom in on it with their eyeballs and go, oh, there's a wave in it. It looks terrible. No, they're going to look at it from 3 feet away and say, hey, that looks awesome. Take your time. Do it right. Always take your time and do it right. It's going to be the equivalent of about 4 or 5 coats here. We're going to hit this from the lower side, lower left. This is really working out really nice. It's going to have a lot of coats on it. It's going to be thick. It's going to cure pretty hard. This is going to work out wonderfully. Yeah, the heat gun is really helping out. That's a much better technique than just trying to use open air. Let's hit it one more time for luck. It's going to have a little bit of a pebbly look to it because I pulled the can way back. Yeah, that's looking fantastic. I think we're done. That's the view from underneath. Looks pretty good. Time to remove the blue tape. This hasn't even been 20 minutes. Because I've used a heat gun, you know, I know the paint is at least a little firm. So you can get away with a lot. Just peel away from your work. Don't let a piece of tape snap back into your work. Sometimes, you know, tension on the tape will cause it to pop, and a strip of it will just flip right back into your work, and then you'll be, oh man, I spent an hour on that and now there's a piece of tape in it. That you don't want. So work slowly and carefully. Also, be careful of little bits on your finger. You don't want them getting stuck in your work either. Over the years, you know, you learn that when you're working with something that there's always that little bit that flies back into your work. So check your hands, check your shirt, you know, check your pants. Make sure you don't have a little piece stuck to you, because that'll flick away and float around in the air and wind up stuck to your paint. So definitely be cautious. This is really coming out really nice. I'm really going to appreciate this. This is going to be fantastic. Too good for a dirt bike. This is great. Look at this. This is really looking fantastic. Oh yeah, this is wonderful. Again, just be careful. Pull up and away. Last little piece. This is the risky one. Get a good hold of it. Up and away. Wow. That looks absolutely terrific. I just have to clean up the edge and we're done. If you want to paint something with fine detail, this is how you do it. Maybe you can see through the lens there and just how big everything looks through that magnifying lens. So this is the tool that I use. If you were on the NC 700 forum and you saw me do the little Nutcracker men and you wondered how I did it, well, this is how I was able to make these little tiny Nutcracker men look like they were, you know, 3 feet tall. Yeah, little tiny, you know, 6-inch men. So, yes, I can work in fine detail, and this is how I do it. That's what that looks like in super macro mode. That is really looking great. That is what it looks like now. Thank you very much for watching.